All right, in this module, we're going to take a look at branching control structures in JavaScript. So let's start with the real basics. What is a control structure? In a normal typical program, the code so far has been executed in order, one line at a time, starting with the top and just moving down the line of code. It would start like this, and then we just execute the code and the next line of code and the next line of code until we get the result, at which time the program pauses or waits for us to do the next thing or to run it again or whatever we want to do. However, in a regular program, this is very limiting. So even when we have all of these events that are starting different sections of code or triggering different things, it's still very linear. We have the event, it executes a few lines of code, and then it produces a result. And so that limits what we can do with our program. So what we want is control structures. Control structures can actually change the order of code execution and even decide whether code is executed or not. So even if we have let's say we have an event that triggers our code to run, the code might run for a little bit, and then we have a control structure that says, what do we want to do next? Do we want to execute this line of code, which produces a certain result? Or do we want to execute this line of code, which produces a different result? And so one versus the other gives us different results. There are two basic types of control structures. In this unit, we're going to be speaking specifically about branching control structures. In a branching control structure, as the name suggests, says, do we want to branch the code or branch the execution of the code so that it follows one path, or do we want to follow a different path? It's sort of like a fork in the road, if you want to think of it that way. The other type of control structure is called looping. And in a looping control structure, we actually use a structure that allows us to run the same section of code a certain number of times based on some value in the program or some other factor that we introduce. So looping control structures are useful for a whole lot of things, but we're going to push those to the next module, and we're going to focus today just on branching.